AARP was started about 65 years ago by a school administrator who found out, her name was Ethel Percy Andrus, not that you remember it, but she found out one of her teachers was living in a chicken house. And this wasn't by choice, it was by necessity.
Yes.
Because number one, the salaries were real low, and number two, they had no pension, and she was due to retire in the near future. So she was instrumental in starting pensions for teachers in California, and it has since morphed to what it is today. All things, wealth, health, and self for our generation, with the hopes that it will help us to be happier in our later years of life. When it comes, certainly the fraud aspect of it has a lot to do with the wealth aspect of it, because fraud, excuse me, still and just continuously grows. You know, you'd think how many billions more dollars can people lose to fraud? But apparently there's money out there, and unfortunately we are targets quite often because we've got the IRAs, we've got the pensions, we were taught to save as we were growing up. The younger group actually is targeted more than we are, but they lose considerably less than we do. Our age group, anyone over 60 on up in the 80s and 90s, we lose 5-6 times more than the younger group does. So they fall for more of the smaller type scams. It's not the big ones like the investment scams, property, real estate scams, and things that we do, romance scams. But they fall for the smaller ones, and typically one fall is all it takes with them. So let's talk about fraud prevention today. We're going to look at some trends in behavior. We're going to look at a category that's elemental, prevention and resources. Fraud trends. Frauds have been around with us forever. Years ago, there were frauds committed during Roman days with weights and measures. Weights of grain, things like that. They would put little pebbles and rocks to make it look like they were getting more. So it's been around. As long as humans have existed, there's been fraud. In more recent times, where is she? We got the snake oil salesman. You know, and today it's the same thing as a snake oil salesman, but wearing more modern clothes, whether it be somebody online, they're selling something that's not worth what you're paying for it. 2025, 196 billion lost. And they say that elders are about almost 2/3 of that amount. Just incredible. And this is with only 2 to 6% of people reporting frauds.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, because you're embarrassed if you get.
you know what, that's part of society, and that's something that I hope AARP can help with. You know, we wouldn't, years ago, when somebody had a sexual assault, they were embarrassed to do it, I mean, because of the ridicule that people, and we're hoping that, you know, the more society talks about fraud, you know, and preaches the fact that you're a victim. You are a victim. You're not the one. It has nothing to do with how smart you are, how old you are, how young you are, what color you are, what your occupation is. Anybody can be defrauded. It's an equal opportunity crime. And it is criminal. Losses, 27%, they seem to go up every year.
Wow.
So when are they going to stop? Identity theft, reported just last year, from 9 months of the year, exceeded the total number from the year before. Now there's really two parts to identity issues. One, you've got the theft of information. This is caused by breaches by ourselves and providing too much information on social media sites. Old-fashioned method, people putting things in their mailbox and putting a flag up, checks or whatever in the mailbox. So some of this, we kind of, we bring on ourselves, and I don't like to use that. It happens because it's how we're used to conducting business or ourselves in a world that we can't do it anymore. We're used to telling people identify themselves or our friends, certain things about ourselves, or putting things in the mail that we just, society's gotten to the point we can't do it anymore. And it's unfortunate, but they seem to be controlling what we're able to do.
We live up at the end of Oak Ledge Road, down towards Cundy's Arbor, and we've had packages, they still sometimes deliver packages on top of the mailbox and leave them there. And we've recently had some of those packages have been stolen.
Yes, or people are as bold as going up on front porches and stealing them.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that around Christmas time when it's just little packages. But with everyone ordering, or so many people ordering on Amazon, I mean, even I get a package probably every couple of weeks and stuff like that. And sometimes I do find them on the ground next to a mailbox. It's really,
Yeah, we thought
discerning.
because we were at the end of a dirt road, that this would never happen. We're on a dirt road, very end, and the last couple months,
oh
we've
jeez.
had things stolen. So the post office here, for the town, has sent a letter to everyone, and you have to sign how you want,
That's
if you
good.
want packages left or not, or,
That's the one advantage of being in a
So-
small town and knowing your post office and those employees and stuff like that. That is really good. Social media is now the primary method of how they contact for identity theft in most age groups. Though some of the older methods are still in place too. Just a few job scams seem to be hot. Investment scams. 80% $10,000 per victim, so they're very lucrative scams. And what is the best way to prevent? You've got the identity theft, like we said, the breaches, and the fraud is actually where they use your money to apply for loans, open accounts, anything involving the lending of money. That's how they abuse. That's where the fraud comes in. And the best way to prevent this is a credit freeze. Yeah. If you haven't signed up for a credit, I know there's some handouts over there on how to sign up for a credit freeze, but that is the best way. Maine was the leader across the nation on making credit freezes free about 30 years ago. Which is pretty cool, I think, because that could have been, it was very expensive.
My wife just said we did. How did we sign up for the credit freeze?
Well, we were scammed a year ago, July. So, and Bass Savings was great. They immediately froze the accounts, set up, moved money to new accounts.
Now, what company did this for you?
Bass Savings,
Oh, Bass, okay.
yeah, they were great.
They're very good.
And at that time, we went to the credit, froze the credit. Even though we should have done that before.
Well, what,
But we did it then.
hindsight's always 20/20.
So, but I'm a bad person, I still write checks.
I write checks. This
I
where
write checks?
Yeah, well, we have to write checks. My insurance company or any of these smaller type, you have to write a check. It's something I can't do online. So there were instances, so I guess I'm bad too.
But, I just, every company wants you to do everything online, which means if you get scammed and you're having everything paid out of credit cards, it is a nightmare.
Really? Now, is this with a new account or is this with an existing account?
Well, existing, like we have USAA, I mean, every company, Fidium Fiber, they all want you to pay online, which means you have to set up an account with a
I'm
password.
sorry.
And then if you get scammed, you gotta change all
You
that.
do, I think that's one of the biggest, my biggest
So-
pet peeve is changing all those things. we're changing.
Uh,
But if you find like a single purchase or, on your credit card, I find it pretty easy just to dispute. Yeah, but
Yeah.
if they set up
Yeah,
and do maximum, set up new accounts or really do maximum damage with, multiples and stuff like that. Yes, it's a little bit different. But when it comes to social media, protecting ourselves and our accounts, the same thing you've heard, the strong passwords, I know passwords are a pain.
I know, I mean, I laugh because I'm a sucker for using my daughter's name and a number and an exclamation point or whatever. And it's,
Yes.
my wife keeps correcting me.
Yes. I'm kind of a sucker too. I write mine down with the idea in mind, nobody is gonna break in my house and steal my list of passwords. I don't, however, leave it out so that if friends or my sons come over or anybody else comes over, they don't have access to it. I put it in a drawer, put it someplace where they can't, but I write them down because I can't remember.
Oh, me too. I mean, the mistake I made is I put them online.
or on your phone.
On my phone, so I go on
If
there.
you lose your phone, it's.
Yeah, so I had
it's
to
pretty-
I had to redo all that. So we have them in a book that we put in a fireproof box, that's all.
Yeah, just make sure that people don't have access to your book and stuff. Privacy settings, that's another thing that can be really a pain, but we need to go into our phones, make sure our phones are set with the latest privacy settings. Occasionally they change them, not that often, but occasionally, but just go in as a recollection and on your PC as well. Friend requests, one of the scams that has been going around in probably the last 6-8 months is somebody gets onto your Facebook and gets your list of friends. Now you can go into Facebook and one of the privacy settings so that information is not released. And then they will email you under the guise that they're, it shows up as a friend, and they email you as a friend and ask you to pick up a gift card. And they will pay you back the $50 but what they want you to do is as soon as you get the gift card, supply them with the name, with the number and stuff like that. Walmart's a big, everybody likes a Walmart gift card or whatever. So, go to Walmart, pick me up one, give them the number, and then before you know it, before you've hung up, they've redeemed it already. Think before you share your information. Stay informed and monitor your account. Monitoring your accounts is a huge one. And educate yourselves and others about what you hear is going on. That's a good way to keep people abreast of what is. Okay, why did the turtle break up with the giraffe?
No idea.
A little interruption here. Okay, this is a partial list of all the scams that AARP has information online. Everything from psychic, identity theft, gift cards, apartment rental, real estate, timeshare, utilities.
Political schemes.
Political schemes, you name it, and it's out there. Charity scams, you name it, and it's out there. And each of these scams has got a red flag associated with it. Yes. So, what AARP did, probably in the past, maybe two 2 years, 18 months, 2 years ago, is they looked at all the scams that were reported to them and information that was available to them from the FTC. And they looked at all these scams and they came up with a brilliant idea. There are 3 elements that are common in 85% of the scams you'll come across. 3 elements that remain the same for all these scams. So if you remember these 3 points, you've got 85% chance of not being scammed. Or probably a little bit better. But just 3 things to remember rather than that whole list of scams. Number 1 is how the frauds start. It's an unexpected contact. It's somebody contacting you rather than you calling a number that you know is for your bank or for your utility company or for whatever. It's somebody contacting you. You didn't make the call, out of the blue, they are contacting you. How are they contacting you? Social media,
Yeah.
email, phone call, some of the old tried and true methods, texting you. But social media, has come on, as that first one of those first slides said, turned out to be the most frequent now, or the newest or most prevalent means of contact. So they're going on, if you've got a Facebook or if you've got Instagram, any of those social media sites, they're contacting. It's through that they're contacting you. Either as a friend, a foe, somebody you should be familiar with, or a little advertisement up and down the side, or just something they think you might be interested in. So you've got the unexpected phone call or whatever, and even, mail and phone calls still is there. They still do it. Any way they can do it, they're gonna do it. Number 2, high emotion. They put you in a state where your emotions are overriding your logical thinking. So think about it. It's a highly emotional situation, and everybody's emotions get keyed on different things. 1, it could be a means to triple your money. 2, it could be buying something that there's such limited quantity of, it's only bound to raise in price. 3, it's a too good to be true offer.
Yeah.
So you're in an emotional state where you can't. The fraudsters call it putting you under the ether. That's actually the term that fraudsters use. But your emotions are such an upheaval that your brain, you can't think logically when you get emotionally involved in what they are presenting to you. They are so slick, they will pretend or portray themselves as being your best buddies.
Yeah.
And they understand exactly where you're at in life and your situation. And a lot of times they're getting information from social media sites. I've realized, you lost your husband so many years ago, you must be really lonely, it's really tough. I've lost a loved one too, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. But you can't think straight. And the third is there's always an urgency to act. You've got to provide them information or payment or transfer of money. So you've got to give them your information real quick, or they want money. So it is a real estate or an investment opportunity that's only open to you because you're a good friend and you're in the same situation they are, and this will help you in future years, with your retirement, or you can pass on to grandkids, or the excuses they use.
Well, the big one in Maine, and I just got it again the other day, was the motor vehicle one.
Oh,
Saying,
yes.
I got it too.
yeah, you know.
Yes.
Oh, you owe this, blah, blah, or your,
Parking ticket.
I don't wanna
Yeah,
say,
parking
it's
ticket.
not
Parking ticket.
express, what's the, Easy Pass.
You know-
Your Easy Pass,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I haven't traveled anywhere, so.
But you're smart enough, but
So
some
you
people,
just got it recently?
Oh, yeah, all of those.
do you use their Easy Pass often?
No,
You say yes or no?
no.
No, okay.
No.
I use mine, if I want to run up to Augusta, go shopping or
Yeah,
whatever.
sure. Yeah.
It's that dollar charge.
Right,
So I
right.
use mine quite often. I fortunately have not gotten one of those yet.
It's amazing, because I just
The
got
B&B
one.
ones,
like a
the
week
motor
ago.
vehicle taxes,
Yeah.
the registry, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
But that is a popular, and that's where they're using the mail. You'd think that the rise in postage would kind of make them draw back from mailing something. No,
Yeah.
that's a small
well,
investment.
I've been getting via a text,
Yeah.
but the state, I don't know if this was a year ago or what, came out, and said,
Yes.
do not pay any attention to
Mhm.
this, this is a
But they
scam.
still notify you when your
So-
account gets low. And if you
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
the directions on there on who to call, it could be a bogus number. So whenever I get a notice like that, I always use a number that I get elsewhere. I
Yeah,
don't use the number
yeah.
that I get
That's a good point, yeah.
Like, go
on
back
that piece of
out,
paper.
go back
Yeah, I
out.
just, or I
And move
don't
it.
trash that and just go in myself. I don't
Mhm,
I don't
okay.
do that.
That's a good point.
So, usually they want the money in a very specific way. Crypto, bank transfer, and even cash. They'll even want cash. There was a case in southern Maine within the last year where they wanted $8,000 in cash, and the woman went to her bank and withdrew it.
Wow.
And before, they were sending somebody up, in fact, it was somebody from Massachusetts coming up to Maine to pick up the money, like a courier. So it does happen, any means of money, but they're usually very specific. And these crypto machines and ATMs, they are everywhere.
Yeah.
They are in grocery stores, they're in pharmacies, they're in gas stations, they're in the little stores attached. You could actually go online and put crypto or Bitcoin, whatever, ATMs, and you could put a zip code in there and they'll show you exactly where they are. And there are placards all over the place because
Wow.
they are.
Wow.
So it's a money making, it's money for the company putting them in, and it's definitely money for the state.
Was the scam that I probably fell for, was the Bitcoin? Remember, there was one that wanted me to go get Bitcoin, and I don't think I fell for it, but,
Yeah, what they want you to do is, the Bitcoin machines take your cash.
yeah.
So they want you to deposit so much in cash, and then you have to give them an account number or something where it's actually, the money is actually being applied to.
Mhm.
Well, once you do that, you
Once
hit
you do
enter.
that.
Yeah.
Bitcoin can't be traced.
Well, there's blockchain technology with those crypto machines that there is an initial, what's kept shows an initial transaction, will show that. But the biggest problem with them is with fraudsters, as soon as they get the money, they take it out of the account that they've given you
Yeah.
and put it elsewhere.
Sure.
And that's the biggest issue.
And
And that's where the dead end occurs.
Yeah.
Police agencies go into these, get the blockchain information, but that's it. But most of the time they go in and there's nothing in those account numbers
Yeah.
because it's been taken out that quick.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've got the three elements. Unexpected, you're put in the highest emotional situation, and urgency
Urgency.
to act. And what does AARP say to do? They suggest a pause. A pause. You stop. You try to get to the place where you can regain your rational thought.
Mhm.
This could be through hanging up the phone. It could be just putting the phone down and walking away. It could be cursing out the guy on the other end of the phone. Whatever way
That
works for you.
happens.
That's what AARP suggests.
Well,
I think-
I suggest to people, I'm a retired attorney, and so I had 52 years of practice in Brunswick, and I'm very naive when it comes, well, I'm just being exposed to all this now. My wife is bringing me these lectures so that I will be much more sophisticated, but I'm naive. And even, you know, as an attorney, you know, you shouldn't fall for this stuff, but all of this is sort of new to me. Because I'm an oldster, my daughters are both much more sophisticated about dealing with this stuff than am I. I'm hopefully going to get better, but this is, you know, it's what I now I'm trying to learn is to get to the source from a different telephone number or something to call it to see if it's real.
That's good.
And so that's one of the things that I suggest to people. Well, not anymore, but I would have suggested to people. It's, you know, I'm still naive.
I think we all are to a point.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is such a different world than what we've been brought in.
Right, right.
We've been brought to trust people,
That's true.
not to
Right.
be rude on a telephone.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
You know,
Right.
and so many of the common courtesies just
We
don't
just-
seem to
Right.
exist.
Now,
and
I just
people-
don't answer the phone, or, you know, I try to see who it is, or if it is, you know, if I happen to answer a phone and the person is talking and I don't recognize the number and I don't recognize who the person is, I'll hang up on. I won't even listen.
Good.
I'll just hang up.
Good.
What I use, and I have an iPhone, I don't know if Android offers this on their phones, but if you go into phone calls, I have every unknown number sent to voicemail. If
Yeah.
somebody,
there's
I
a
don't,
setting,
and
That's
then,
no, yeah,
and
good
then I
setting.
check the voicemail.
which we haven't done, which is a good idea.
But you know
I
what?
just looked at my phone, I had at least a dozen
Wow.
potential spammers call me today,
Today.
no voicemails.
You know, it used to be that
It's unreal.
It used to be, and I had a landline probably up until 6 months ago, that it was only occurring on landlines, and it did a lot, but now it's all over.
It's all over.
It's all over. One of the men in one of my groups said that he answered anybody that he does not recognize the number, or there's no name or whatever up there, he answers the phone, FBI field office. And he says, yes,
That's
he hears a click. He says,
fine.
they don't go,
Yeah,
That's
they
good.
don't, they don't go
enough.
any further than
I
that.
like that.
That's a
So-
good one.
That's just, you know, there's different suggestions. One woman says she blows a whistle. So whatever works,
FBI.
John yells,
what's
"Don't call me again."
Yeah, I yell,
That's
don't
so
call me
funny.
anymore.
whatever works is what we need to keep in mind, and to just, but to pause when we're getting, because these guys are so apt guys, it could be AI.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's.
It's
the
not even a
scary
real
part.
person on the phone.
I
Recent
know.
articles on the AI,
Wow.
that's why I nagged John, don't say the yes,
Or this is John Montero.
don't say your name,
Yeah.
don't, because as soon as you say yes, they've got your voice, they've got your,
Yikes.
They've been doing
You know,
that.
and it's
They've
just
been doing that.
Yeah, they have
Yikes.
been. And it takes so few
It
words
does.
to completely, for them to
Completely,
replicate your way of speech, your inflections, the whole
Jeez.
thing. It
yeah,
just,
yeah,
it
because the
just-
recent AARP, as you know, that just came out, the whole thing was on fraud.
yes.
The,
And that book is,
News-
that
newsletter.
newspaper is so good. Did you read it?
excellent,
Yeah,
excellent.
that I actually made copies of the 9 things to feel safer now. I mean, I got that last week, in the mail, last week, the day I had another presentation, I actually did that. And did you see Remain, this part, Remain, we are having a national speaker
Oh, okay.
coming to Portland
I was looking at the, oh,
on the 23rd of April, who's going to be talking about the call centers and transnational fraud.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
It'll be offered virtually and in person. And then we're having after her name's Erin West, after her as speaker, we are having a panel talk about this and its implications to Maine. And Erin Fry is gonna be the moderator.
Oh, good.
We
Our
have
daughter's
another,
boss.
somebody from the US Attorney's Office
Yeah.
coming to serve on
Daughter's
that.
boss.
Andrew McCormick, he's up in Bangor. And we've got Erin on it, and then we've got Kathy Stokes, who's in charge of AARP's fraud. She's the big fraud person who does all this fraud stuff. Yeah, so it's gonna be really cool. I'm pretty excited. It's down at USM. And we're
Yeah.
even giving out parking passes. You can park down there in their garage for free.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, really, trying to get as many people as we can.
So
So,
one thing, if I get, you mentioned setting your phone, sometimes I'll get a text and I'm like, that sounds familiar. You know, like the number sounds familiar and I'm just not. The same with a voicemail. You know, I'm like,
Yeah,
gee, it's a
that's
725 number, it's a
Yeah.
Brunswick
It's a
number,
Brunswick,
and it
yeah.
says Brunswick.
and a lot of my, because I still have a Northern Virginia, DC area
I
code.
noticed that.
Those,
Ah,
all of the scammers that, I don't really get many from Maine. The
You get the
majority
ones
are
down
from,
south.
Because your numbers there.
Interesting.
yeah, but I still get missed things. Another thing with iPhone, with text messages, you can have the exact same setting where numbers that you don't know are in a separate folder. And then you can look at it before even opening it, and you can either
Yeah,
report,
because I typically,
delete.
Yeah, but
because
you,
I've gotten the job, hello,
The
we
job
have this
offer.
job,
I
that's
get that all the
delete,
time.
delete, you know.
I'm not looking for a job in civil
Right.
engineering in Northern Virginia.
well, you know, they can pick up online a device that they can spoof anybody's number and make it look like it's coming from a Virginia number, even my own number. I've had
Exactly.
calls come in from my own number that appear on the number ID. Yeah, but those things are only like $10 online, so the technology's out there for them to, enabling them to do this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Jeez.
So you can't always trust what your phone is telling you
Yeah.
either, you really can't,
No.
but anyway. But what pausing allows you to do is get back to your rational thought.
Yeah.
You're actively participating in stopping a fraud. It allows you to think rationally and stop it whether you hang up the phone, whether you walk, whatever the reason. And you're not allowing it to occur.
I love the FBI field office.
That's so good.
Pause strategies, never make monetary decision. If you're in an emotional state, answer, ask more questions than what you ask. They're always the ones with the questions. It's like you get a call from your bank, well, what's your account number? Or, they want you, they're calling you, but yet you've got to identify yourself to them.
Yeah.
To me, it just doesn't make sense. Refusal script, protect all personal information. And the 3 Ds, delete, disconnect, and then disengage. The pause, don't click on attachments
No.
from unknowns, whether they be an unknown or a new website or whatever. You can always go online and Google if it's a legitimate company or not. Shred, we have shredding events.
It's important, yeah.
We have shredding events through
Usually
around town. In fact, there's
here.
gonna be one in Bath.
Oh, okay.
Bath, you say that's one?
Yeah, there's one in Bath in April,
Town
a
hall.
shredding event down there in April. I
Town
wanna
hall,
say
think
it's the week before before that 23rd.
And the dump, I call it the dump,
Yeah,
has
the
one
dump.
It
every
is the
summer,
dump.
I think.
Yeah,
But-
and I think Town Hall had one in September
I
this
think we
Yeah.
missed that, yeah.
Yeah.
But we accumulate a lot of stuff in the basement to be shredded.
Well, we always do. I mean, you don't
Shredding
You don't
everything.
realize that people do dumpster dive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you happen to use PayPal or things like that, always know where you're sending the money to. Make sure it's actually PayPal and not PayPal dot fraud, dot scam, whatever. Because all it takes is one character to change what looks like appears to be a legitimate
Site.
address. And we train our eyes not to look for the little nuances of the little inconsistencies. We see llbean.com and we don't see llbean, maybe BEANN.com.
I've seen a lowercase r next to an N pretending to be an M.
Ah,
I mean, this is.
it looks like, if you look,
Yeah.
Wow.
that's pretty slick.
Speed reading.
That's very slick, yes. And never pay by gift card or cryptocurrency.
Right.
Those are the ones. And verified charities, they all come out of the woodwork when we have, some sort of a climate catastrophe or whatever,
Yeah.
weather catastrophe, I
Yeah.
should say. And know who's receiving a bank transfer. In our booklet over there is what I consider, and I don't have mine here, to be our Bible.
Oh, yay.
These are our Bibles. This has the best information in it,
Oh, good.
numbers to call,
Oh, good.
all that. A lot of people are,
I don't wanna-
we have two of them. Okay, just put it here. And I'm gonna leave the rest of the pile for the library too.
I needed more
Thank
than she
you.
did.
So, believe me, we all need it.
Nagging.
Don't say your name. I see my train of thought just left me. That happens occasionally, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, I don't know. Wasn't my
Well, the other thing that my brother sent me from San Francisco, which probably this new AARP magazine, whatever you call it,
Yeah.
pamphlet, went into was, I think some of the potential scams that we got in the past, there was misspelling,
Mhm.
and, you read down and but now with AI.
Yes, it used to be a telltale if the wording was not fluid.
Yeah.
It's not like,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
and like you say, the misspellings or punctuation misses.
Yeah.
But now with all the spell checks, AI, everything's perfect. Everything
Yeah,
is
so
better
you
than
can't rely
what we
on
could
that
write
anymore.
ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess if it's written too perfectly, I guess that's a red flag.
Yeah.
If they're using the best grammar you
Yeah.
could ever have, that's a red flag.
Yes, it
It's just not the way we talk or we communicate. But these are such a good, I know what I was gonna talk about. The shame that's associated with this, or people perceive. But, the thing to keep in mind that we always preach is the fact that you're the victim. If you had, things stolen from your mailbox, you wouldn't think twice about telling somebody about that. If somebody stole a bike from your front yard, or somebody, broke into your house, you would share that information. These are crimes too, and you're a victim. AARP has even got a support group online to help victims, so victims don't know that don't feel like they're alone. Victims don't feel like they've lost all sense of of being able to discern something that's a fraud. They're getting their self-confidence back because of it. And the big thing, if you think that you're a victim or you're being victimized, is to let the police know. You can even call, AARP has a helpline. That's somebody that, somebody outside your circle of friends, if you don't have somebody you want to confide this to or in, you can call them and tell them what's going on with you, and they'll give suggestions.
One of the things that I do or have done is because I deal with Bath Savings a lot, is I call Bath Savings, and I have a good relationship with the people there, and I talk with, I don't know what her title is, but one of the women who's sort of in charge in the Brunswick branch, and I talk with her and I say, is this real? Is there an account? And I've talked with them, and they're very good about
That's this
scamming.
awesome. And banks have been working hard to help their customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, it's know your customer too.
Right.
Recognizing, where there could be a potential problem or an issue when something's brought to their attention. They really have been.
I
It's
went
been really good.
into the Brunswick branch, and there were like 6 ladies online there, waiting on customers and so forth, but I went up to the first one and I said, well, I think I've been scammed, and they all of them said, oh, everybody gets scammed. They all raised their hand and said, yeah, it's going around.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it is. You didn't work for the AG's office, did you?
my daughter does. My daughter,
older daughter.
our older daughter, Halliday Moncure, works for the AG's office, and you mentioned her boss is gonna be at a.
Yeah, is that her boss?
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yep,
Aaron.
He's
Aaron
Aaron.
Fry.
He is a great guy.
yeah.
He is a great guy. He's been such a good community partner with AARP. Awesome up in that area. Andrew's awesome. Okay, and scammers agree. Who are the best victims? We who get excited easily. The best, you hear something, that's your emotions kicked in for one reason or another, whether it be your grandchild's
Yeah,
been arrested, or there's a warrant out for your arrest because you missed jury duty, or there's a warrant out for your arrest because of parking tickets, whatever.
Yeah.
We're excited.
well, that's how they induce a lot of people is, the tickets, if you don't pay this off by a certain time, you're gonna lose your whatever. And that gets a lot of people.
And it's a misuse of the authority. They're using the authority
Yeah.
as the key
Yeah.
to unlock the scam. I mean, almost like, in wintertime, a lot of utility frauds occur up here. CMP calling, we're going to disconnect unless you pay.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
don't even ask typically for any astronomical, it may be $125 and change, or $89 and change.
Yeah.
All they have, but they do it, the 5-10 people a day, and it all adds up.
Sure.
But yes, the scams with utilities, and I'm sure it's gonna be the same thing with electric come the summertime. I mean, just like it is electric and fuel and all that kind of stuff in the winter. We don't think about why it could be or why it is a fraud, because there are so many frauds out there, and there's so many, but there's these things. We don't ask questions and we don't read information. And finally, if you suspect it, report it to local law enforcement. You'll see, I know Channel 6 has quite often on their channel, they'll hear about a scam and they'll put something on the news
Yeah.
that they've received several calls about this going on and beware.
Yeah.
They get their information typically from law enforcement.
Is that address and telephone number, is that in here?
Yes, all that stuff should be in the book.
Thank
And there's some, the AARP, that's all in there. You can get, it's AARP, you don't even have to be a member to get most of the stuff out of the AARP. You can go in there. what I like is going in there and it'll show a map of the United States and you can click on a state and it'll actually show you where the fraud reports are coming in from town-wise. And you can click on them and it gives you just a brief synopsis of what kind of a fraud it is or what has been reported to them is going around, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. And finally,
Attorney General's office will call our dog.
And finally, if you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. That's what the AARP says.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now, we have, because we've been in our house 50, whatever, years. In our kitchen, we have an old phone on the wall.
Landline.
And years ago, it stopped showing the number.
mine never
called.
did show the numbers.
So, because we're lazy, we'll often pick that phone up.
I do, yeah. The scam
And
one.
one of the calls that we get, I don't know how many times, is quote unquote Medicare services.
Right.
Hang up. We hang up, hang up. But what is this? What is it? I mean, we
I've
hang
heard
up.
that
Scam their
before, too.
email.
So they
I've heard
know
that.
we're old. They know, you know, they're not, I don't think our daughters are getting that. You know, they know we're.
You know, when they steal, when they have these major breaches where they're getting millions of records, I mean, you think that the healthcare, I know St. Mary's in Lewiston, I think CMMC,
Yes.
I think someplace in Brunswick and in Portland were hit
We're
just
hit.
in the past 6 months.
Wow.
But you think about the information about us that's out there. I mean, they ask for not only our social and our name and address, marital status, a spouse's name. They ask for all kinds of information. So it's not unusual. They could run a quick query and get all the people who are widowed. Hit them with romance scams.
Yeah.
People who have been in doctor's office, even records, information about my 2 knee replacements. And then I start getting calls about, you know, Medicare looking to, for braces or things for my knees to make life easier for me. So it's amazing the information's out there. And the information never goes away. Once they've got the records and they have used in one group, they'll sell them and switch with another group. So the information never gets deleted, never.
Wow.
And that's why I think at times, sometimes even through the mail, you know, you'll see people's names who don't live in the house, who don't live in my house, or people who have lived in that house or at that address 30, 35 years ago. The information's always out there. And they use it, and if they hit on one thing, it's like telephone numbers. The automatic dialers, they just keep increasing, it does it automatically. And as soon as, that's why you have a hesitation when you pick up the phone and say hello, there may be a second or two where it takes for somebody to get on the
Yeah, you
line.
hear the little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, on page 5, maybe what you should do for your landline, there's a great do not call registry.
Yeah.
Where you,
Well,
yeah.
maybe you
But
should
you
put
know-
your landline
we're
on
on
that.
that, but
they don't,
done that?
the do
I don't
not
think
calls, I've had a
Yeah.
lot of people with mixed emotions on do not calls.
I don't think that,
You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and just,
yeah,
they still get through.
Yeah.
right,
So, but
yeah.
it's better, to at least, try it. Try it. You know, if it doesn't cost anything to
Do
do,
not call the
think we're-
registry.
yeah.
We're on it.
Okay, so if that's it, guys,